Good morning and welcome to African Union Television, Thursday, 22/6. My name is Kwasi Amankwah Agyekum. Coming up, Star Oil suspends COMAC membership amid price floor dispute. PRTU task force arrests 15 drivers in Agyekum, allegedly charging multiple fares. Ghana Railway warns public against fake national security operatives collecting money in its name. Multidimensional poverty drops to 21.9% in Ghana, GSS. Price of cement won't go up, Trade Minister assures Ghanaians. Watima Bafwabua sworn as 12th President of GIA. Government to release white paper on constitutional review recommendations, INEC. Mahama champions Accra reset at World Economic Forum meeting today. 13 sex workers arrested in Tamale to clean market as a deterrent. Canada leaves because of US, Trump predicts at Carney in Davos speech. The details. Star Oil Limited has announced the immediate suspension of its membership of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, a decision that has intensified tensions within Ghana's downstream petroleum sector and sparked concerns about unity within the industry body. Statement issued on Wednesday, January 1, the oil marketing firm described the move as an indefinite suspension, stressing that it was taken after careful consideration. Oil noted that it has been a long-standing and active member of COMAC, remains its largest financial contributor, having consistently supported the chamber's operations and advocacy work. The company explained that its membership of COMAC had been premised on the expectation of fair representation of members' interests and the accommodation of differing but constructive views on policy and regulatory issues. However, Star Oil said recent developments had undermined this principle, prompting it to reassess its continued association with the chamber. At the heart of the disagreement is COMAC's public stance on the petroleum price floor, a contentious regulatory issue within the industry. Star Oil disclosed that it has consistently called for the abolition of the price floor, a position that differs from the majority view held by COMAC's membership. The company expressed dissatisfaction that its perspective has not been fairly acknowledged or adequately explained, particularly during recent media engagements by the chamber's chief executive. According to Star Oil, the lack of balanced communication has fueled negative public perceptions, creating the impression that its position is driven by anti-competitive or improper motives. The company describes such insinuations as unjust and damaging to its corporate reputation, especially given its long-standing contributions to the industry. Reiterating its position, Star Oil said its opposition to the price floor is based on sound economic and market principles, arguing that the policy distorts pricing by preventing the prompt transmission of international fuel prices and foreign exchange movements into the local market. It maintained that this untimely weakens competition and disadvantages consumers, noting that similar arguments had previously informed the removal of the price floor for bulk distribution companies. In the light of the above, Star Oil believed that continued membership of COMAC under the current circumstances exposes the company to reputational risk without providing a fair platform for its views to be represented, the statement said. We have therefore decided to suspend our membership until the chamber demonstrates a clear commitment to balanced representation and fair communication of divergent positions among its members. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union GPRTU has arrested 15 drivers in Agyekum, Accra for allegedly charging multiple fares, the union's task force has confirmed. Speaking to the media on January 21, National Guard Commander of the GPRTU, Deremon Ekogezi, said the operation is part of a wider effort to tackle driver indiscipline in the city and enforce approved fare structures. This is part of the tougher steps we are taking to curb illegal operations by drivers, Mr. Daisy said, explaining that the task force is also targeting drivers who operate short trips, moving passengers between points without completing the full route. However, Some of the arrested drivers have described their arrest as unjustified. He also explained about the communication from the union saying proper consultation and negotiations with drivers were lacking. Even if you call yourself a union, your members are us. You have to call us and negotiate. They did not call me for the meeting yesterday, he added. Mr. Gazi, however, defended the operation, saying it will help restore order and discipline in Accra's transport system. He appealed to the police to take the arrested drivers to court so that offenders can face legal consequences and set an example. Operations now are targeting those who take passengers short distances while claiming longer routes and those who charge over the approval fares. When the police take them to court, it will help enforce discipline, he said. The GPRTU has warned that similar operations will continue across the city to ensure drivers adhere to regulations, protect commuter interests, and reduce disputes on public transport routes in Accra. The Ghana Railway Development Authority, GRDA, has cautioned the public against individuals claiming to collect money on its behalf, insisting that it has not authorized the National Security Secretariat, its operatives, or any other persons to demand or receive funds in its name. In a statement signed by the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Dr. Frederick Akpo, GRDA said it has not granted any mandate, approval, or authorization to any individual or group to collect money on its behalf, particularly within the Cantonment Market or any other location. According to the authority, any person purporting to act in the name of GRDA or claiming to have the backing of national security to collect monies is doing so without lawful authority and without the knowledge or consent of the authority. The GRDA has therefore advised members of the public to treat such claims as fraudulent and to remain vigilant. The authority strongly requests that any such incidents, demands, or utterances be immediately reported to the Ghana Police Service for investigation and arrest, in accordance with the laws of the Republic of Ghana, the statement said. GRDA reaffirmed its commitment to lawful engagement, transparency, and due process in all its operations, stressing that it will fully cooperate with law enforcement agencies to address any illegal activities carried out in its name. The authority further assured the public that it remains focused on conducting its operations in accordance with established legal and regulatory frameworks. Multidimensional poverty in Ghana declined from 23.9% in the first quarter of 2025 to 21.9% by the third quarter, according to the latest Multidimensional Poverty Index (MPI) report released by the Ghana Statistical Service (GSS). The report indicates that the decline reflects improving access to basic services and living conditions for many households. Within a single quarter, more than 360,000 people exited multidimensional poverty between the second and third quarters of 2025. Overall, about 950,000 persons moved out of poverty between the third quarter of 2024 and the third quarter of 2025. The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, has assured Ghanaians that cement prices will remain stable, dismissing concerns about possible increase in the cost of the key construction material. According to the minister, the government has been engaging extensively with players in the cement industry to ensure both quality improvement and price stability. She revealed that her most recent engagement with industry stakeholders took place on Monday. I've already engaged the players in the cement industry, and the latest one was on Monday. The engagement with them was so to focus on improving quality and price stability, she said. Ofosu-Adjare noted that current economic conditions, particularly the relative stability of the cedi against the dollar, do not justify any increase in cement prices. She stressed that the government is closely monitoring developments in the sector to protect consumers. It is worth learning that where the dollar is now, prices must be stable, and I'm happy to reiterate the point that the prices of cement are not going to go up, the trade minister emphasized. We are reaffirmed to the government's commitment to working with manufacturers and distributors to maintain fair pricing, adding that stability in the cement market is critical to supporting housing, infrastructure development, and overall economic growth. The Chief Executive Officer of Star Assurance Limited, Boatima Bafo-Ewa, has been officially sworn in as the 12th President of the Ghana Insurers Association, GIA. The investiture ceremony held on Tuesday, January 20, 2026, at the Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra marks a new chapter for the umbrella body of insurance and reinsurance companies in the country. As she takes the helm of the GIA, Mrs. Bafo-Ewa is expected to lead the association towards greater heights by focusing on professionalism, innovation, and strengthening public trust. The first thing we need to do as insurers is to ensure that public education on insurance products are properly explained to clients. I believe the patronage of insurance will improve if we are able to do that, she noted, highlighting her mandate. She further underscored the need for affordable and diversified insurance products as a critical step toward deepening insurance penetration in the country, particularly among undeserved communities in the informal sector. Additionally, diversity in the range of products offered will be crucial. Affordability is also key, as many people shy away from certain insurance products due to cost. Maintaining affordable premiums will help draw in the underserved population and participants in the informal economy, she explained. The ceremony also recognized the contributions of the outgoing President, Seth Kobla Aklaji, MD of Ghana RAPLC. His two-term tenure was highlighted by the successful completion of the Insurance House, a four-story office complex that serves as a symbol of the association's growth. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dominica Akuritinga Ayire, says the government will soon release a white paper to clearly state its position on the proposals arising from the constitutional review process. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of an interview, Mr. Ayine explained that the government will first publish its official position on the proposals. Prior to that, we will bring out a government position paper that will indicate the proposals that have been accepted by the government and those that have not been accepted by the government, he said. The Attorney General said the proposals have already been submitted and are currently under review. The proposals have been submitted and we are reviewing them as we speak. I am studying it very keenly to advise His Excellency the President about some of the positions and whether or not they align with the recent agenda of the government, he added. He said the white paper will indicate which recommendations have been accepted by the government and which ones have not, ahead of the implementation stage. Mr. Ayine stated that the work on constitutional reforms will be closely aligned with the Law Reform Commission, describing it as a central institution in the reform of Ghana's laws. That is very important because the Law Reform Commission is the key institution for the reform of our laws, and the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land, he said. According to the Attorney General, the review process cannot be separated from the work of the Commission. The process of reviewing the Constitution cannot just detach itself from the work of the Commission, he explained. Mr. Ayine said the government will ensure that the Committee for the Implementation of the Constitutional Review proposals works in close collaboration with the Commission.
No, that is very important because the Law Reform Commission, as I noted, is the key institution for the reform of our laws. And the Constitution is a fundamental law of the land. The process of reviewing the Constitution cannot just detach itself from the work of the Commission. And therefore, I am going to ensure that in whatever we do, the Committee for the Implementation of the Constitutional Review proposals, right, will align itself, to the work of the Commission. In other words, the Commission would also be keenly involved in the work that we will do to bring the constitutional reforms, into existence.
But when is that going to commence?
The process of putting together the CRIC, that is the Constitution Review Implementation Committee, has started. As I speak, I'm putting together the membership for appointment by His Excellency the President, and I'm sure that will be announced next week. And once the membership is announced, we are going to kickstart the process, of implementing the proposals. But prior to that, we will bring out a government, position paper, that will, indicate the proposals that have been accepted by the government and those that have not been accepted by the government. The proposals have been submitted and we are reviewing them as we speak.
President John Mahama is set to address global political and business leaders today at the World Economic Forum in Davos as he leads discussions on the Accra Reset Initiative at the high-level side event on the margins of the annual meeting. The president will participate in the first Davos convening of the Accra Reset on Thursday, January 2022, bringing the Global South-led initiative to one of the world's most influential policy platforms. In a statement issued by the presidential spokesman and Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwasi, President Mahama is described as leading the Presidential Council of the Accra Reset, an initiative aimed at strengthening sovereign capacity and managing international cooperation amid growing global uncertainty. The statement said the meeting will be attended by fellow members of the Presidential Council, including President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt, President William Samoei Ruto of Kenya, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Nigeria will be represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, while Papua New Guinea will be represented by Prime Minister James Marape. Former heads of state and government will also participate, including former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, former New Zealand Prime Minister Helen Clark, former Mauritanian President Amina Greib Fakim, and former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. They form the guardian circle of the Accra Reset. According to the statement, the Davos meeting will formally launch priority programs under the initiative following its introduction at the 2025 United Nations General Assembly and its endorsement at the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg. The Accra Reset, the statement noted, comes at a time of intensifying great power rivalries, the breakdown of traditional global aid frameworks, rising trade tensions, and multiple overlapping crises, including climate shocks, cost of living pressures, pandemics, and conflicts. President Mahama considers the Accra Reset as complementary to his domestic reform program, the Resetting Agenda, the statement said. It added that Ghana, as a founding member, recognizes that effective national governance depends not on internal reforms, but also on a fairer and more balanced international system. The statement said President Mahama has consistently argued that sovereignty is about the capacity to implement national development visions while building strategic partnerships, especially within Africa and across the global south, to advance shared interests. 13 women arrested in Tamale during a security operation targeting prostitution and drug-related activities have been made to sweep parts of the central business district as a deterrent, national security officials in the northern region have said. The women were picked up during a swoop in areas including Jubilee Park and the Bank of Ghana Stretch, locations security officials described as emerging hotspots for commercial sex work. According to the Northern Regional Security Liaison Officer, RSM Adam Mohammed, the decision to make the suspects clean the market was intended both as a cautionary measure and to support sanitation efforts in the city. Prostitution, he noted, has been on the rise in Tamale, attracting both Ghanaian and foreign nationals, prompting national security to intensify efforts to clamp down on the practice alongside drug trafficking. Speaking to the media, Martina Bugri, RSM Madam Mohammed, explained the rationale behind the exercise. We carried out a swoop on night workers, and they were highly profiled and handed over to the authorities. Our city or the municipality has been engulfed with so many deaths and trash, he said. So we thought it would be wise to direct them so that they could aid in the cleanup exercise of our cities. For that matter, we gave them rooms and other logistics to help us in the cleanup exercise. He added that some of the women welcomed the exercise and expressed remorse. I think they were also of the view that it's a good exercise, and some of them even confessed that they would desist from such activities, he stated. RSM Mohammed said the women were later handed over to the appropriate authorities, adding that the operation also led to the arrest of suspected drug peddlers. On record, I think There were about 13 of them. Aside from that, we've carried out operations on drug peddlers, he said. He reaffirmed national security's commitment to enforcing the law without favoritism. As I said upon assumption of office, anyone found to have broken the law will not be shielded from prosecution. If you find yourself to have broken the law will take you on, he stressed. We have been on top searching for the peddlers, and wherever they are, we are in for them, and we shall bring them to. The action, which saw the women sweeping public spaces, has generated mixed reactions among residents, with some supporting the move as a deterrent and others questioning its appropriateness. The foreign front, Donald Trump's speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos was mostly focused on the strength of the American economy and his desire to acquire Greenland, but the US president also vented about other world leaders. Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada should be grateful, Trump said, the day after Carney delivered a blunt speech calling out great powers for weaponizing their economic might. The US president also took a jab at France's Emmanuel Macron, wearing sunglasses, and Switzerland's former president, Karine Keller-Sutter, who, he said, rubbed him the wrong way. Here is what Trump said about fellow leaders and why the world is taking note. Canada lives because of the United States, calling out Canada's Prime Minister Carney by his first name, Trump said on Wednesday. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that mark the next time you make your statement. He added that Canada gets a lot of freebies from the US and that they should be grateful. It is not clear whether Trump's comments were meant as a threat or a reminder, but Canadians are undoubtedly taking note. Carney's address in Davos on Tuesday was widely lauded by politicians and pundits at home, with one senator describing it as the most consequential speech delivered by a Canadian Prime Minister since World War II. He did not name Trump directly, but did speak about American hegemony as he laid out how the world was undergoing a rupture, not a transition. At the end, he urged smaller powers to work together, adapt, and reject coercion from great powers. Before we go to the top stories again, that ends the news on African Union TV, Thursday morning.